Hello everyone, welcome back to this video series wherein we are looking at the questions from SAS certification prep guide. In this video, we will see the questions from the chapter which is titled Creating and Managing Variables. So we have a first question which says which program creates the output shown below. So we have been given a raw data file called furniture and then we have been given an output which is produced by a proc print, or it could be a dataset, but we'll see the options and then figure out whether it is the output dataset or the printed output. So here if we take a look at the things, so we have 1 2 3 4 and 5 records in the input dataset, and we have information for 1 2 3 4 and 5 variables. So five records and 5 fields are there. So which means if each field is read into a separate variable, we'll have 5 variables, and if each record is read into an observation, we'll have 5 observations. So 5 variables and 5 observations is expected to be read with this input file. So and then we have our output data set, so which has stock number, so which seems to be this stock number has to be read from the first field, and then finish seems to fetch the values from this second field which has values like oak, maple, brass, and then the third one seems to be from this third field, and then fourth one is from this. And if you take a look at the total price here, if we see the values are like 329, 699, 779 and 839. So these values are matching only on the first record, and all of the things, and as a variable name indicates, seems to be like added up for all these values, cumulative of all of these things. So let us take a look at the options given and then see what could be the correct one. So here if we see in the output, we only have 4 observations. So but in whereas in the raw data input file we had 5 rows. So if each row is read into a separate observation, we'll have 5 observations. So but here we only have 4 observations, so something is being not presented in the output, so we have to take a note of that. So here if we see oak, maple, brass and glass, so we have a last oak record, so which is not present in the output which is given, so which means so oak has to be removed or some other condition has to be used, so so that these records get not presented in the output. So we need to take a look, observe for that as well. And then we are looking for creation of a new variable called total price using the field which is present at the end. And if we also take a look at the thing, the individual values present in this last field are not present in the output, which means this might be temporarily used and to create total price and then dropped. So we are looking for all of these things. So something which deletes this row which corresponds to oak of rocking chair, and then also uh, the variable price or something like the last variable which is used to read the last field is to be dropped, and then total price has to be created. So let us go through the options. So here if we see, so stock number, finish, style, item and price are being read by specifying the furniture on the in file statement, and then we have a delete statement here which says if finish is equal to oak then delete. So but we had 2 rows in the input file which had oak and oak. So if this option is to be correct, what would have happened is like both uh, rows of oak would have been deleted, which means we would have got only out of the 5, if 2 gets deleted we would get only 3 records in the output, but we have one of the records of the oak is still present in the output, so this option may not be correct. So let us take a look at the other options. So here if we see input, in file, furniture and all the fields are being read into variables, and then if finish is equal to oak and price less than 200 then delete. So let us go back and see. So there were 2 oaks on the first record, it is 329 which is greater than 200, and on the last record it is 153, which is less than 200. So this delete seems to be okay. But and here we have been given a proc print output with no OBS. So if yes, so no, if no OBS option is equal to use, so the default OBS column which prints the number observation number would be dropped from the proc print output. So this option should have been in effect. But if we see here, so here the last field is read into a variable called price and a total price plus price. Using sum statement, total price is being created. But in the output uh, given to us, the price variable is not present in the input data set, output. So this should have been dropped. So here there is no code which is actually dropping this price or the variable which is reading in the information from the last field. So this option may not be correct for that reason. So let us go and take a look at the other options. So next we have our third option, which says data test to drop is equal to price. Yeah, here we have that drop is equal to price option. And again here also the same delete condition has been used. So the last record, the second instance of O could be deleted with this syntax. And then total price is also being created. So using sum statement, total price plus price, but we were presenting only the total price, but dropping the price variable using drop is equal to option on the data statement. So this seems to be okay because we also have the no OBS option on the proc print code. So this could be correct option, but let's go through the other options and see if we why that could be wrong. So here if we take a look at the code here, if finish is equal to oak, the text oak should have been kept in quotation marks, so which is not done here. So it is try when this code gets executed, it tries to compare the values present in finish variable and a variable named oak, which is not actually present in the input data set. So this actually throws a uninitialized note and also other dependent errors or warning messages or other unacceptable log messages. So again, this is wrong for this reason. So the third option seems to be the closest. So let us go with that and then see. It says our response is correct. So let's move on to the next question. So how is the variable amount labeled and formatted in the proc print output? So here variable amount labeled and formatted in the proc print output. So here we have a proc print and above which we have a data step. So in this data step, so the question is related to amount variable. So amount is being read as a numeric variable from fields of 37 to 50, and then a label is being given to this amount variable with the value of amount of loan, and then a format statement is present for the amount variable, and it has $12.2, and then in the proc print, so we have data is equal to credit and the label option is being used, so that the label associated with the variables would be printed in the column header instead of the names of the variables. So here, but again we have a label statement for amount label statement for amount variable here, in which it says total amount loan, and it also had a label in the data step in the dataset credit, which got created using this data step. So it was amount of loan here, but it got changed to total amount loaned. And then also we have a format statement within the proc print, which is using comma 10 dot. So $12.2 is now comma 10 dot. So when we have used a label and format within a proc, so irrespective of what was the label and format present in the original data set that is used on the data is equal to option would get overwritten. So in fact what happens is when this proc print gets executed, whatever is applied in the localmost scope, which is in this procedure, so will be applied. So for amount, so we have total amount loaned, and for format for amount variable is comma 10 dot. So these would be appearing in our option. So let us see if we have any option which says label of total amount loaned and comma 10 for format. So label amount of loan, no, this is present in the data, but here in the second option it says total amount loan. This seems to be the correct one for label, and format also it says comma 10 dot. So this seems to be the correct one, but let us see the other options before concluding. It says label amount and default format. So there is nothing called as default format, and label it itself is amount, but we have amount of loan in the data. So and here total amount loan. This is neither of the one which is present in the data step or not the one present in the proc print. So this is not correct. And the last one says the proc print step does not execute because two labels and two formats assigned to the same variable. So when we assign new labels, they get overwritten. It's not that we are assigning two labels and two formats here. So option 2 seems to be the closest. So let's go with that and then see. It says our response is correct. Let's move on to the next question. So it says consider the if then statement shown below. When the statement is executed, which expression is evaluated first? So here it says fin exam greater than or is equal to 95 and research is equal to A, or, and within the parentheses we have project is equal to A and present is equal to A. So then grade is equal to A plus. So out of all this, like there are two conditions actually: final exam greater than or is equal to 95 and research is equal to A, or project A is equal to A and presentation is equal to A. So we have this condition is being checked with the OR condition for research is equal to A. Whenever we have this expressions used with AND or OR operators and along with parentheses, the expression which is present in the lowermost or the innermost parenthesis condition gets evaluated first. So here project is equal to A and present is equal to A is present in the innermost parenthesis, so that gets evaluated first. So let's go with the third option which says project is equal to A and present is equal to A and see how this works. It says our response was correct. So let's move on to the next question. So consider the small raw data file and program shown below. What is the value for count after the fourth record is read? So we have first record, second record, third record, and fourth and fifth record. So here on the third record we have a missing value. So now let us see the program. It says work.newNums in file numbers and input tens from 2 to third position, and then a sum statement is being used to create a variable called count, and by incrementing the values present in tens variable. So the question was what will be the value in count after the fourth record is read. So on the first record it would be 10, on the second record 10 plus 20 which will be 30, and on the fourth record when the third record is being read, so what would happen is count value has 30 and with sum statement, so this is called sum statement. So here we are adding the value from a new variable to the existing variable. So within the sum statement, the variable specified as an aggregator variable, which is count here. So this will ignore the missing values, or it will even consider the missing values as zeros. So, and it will retain the values from the previous observation to the current. So this gets evaluated as 30 plus 0. So this will be 30 here. And then on the fourth record 30 plus 40, so it would become 70 here. So we are looking for an answer which has the option which has the value of 70. So let's see. Yes, we have the last option which has the value of 70. Let's go with that and then see if it is correct. Yeah, it says our response was correct. Let's move on to the next question. So it says now consider the revised program below. So based on the previous question, they are changing the program a little. And what is the value of count after the third observation is read? So here again we have 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So on the third observation we have a missing value. The question here is now based on the value on the after the third observation is processed. Earlier it was on the fourth observation, but here it is on the third observation. So here we have work dot new nums being created by reading this in file, and then inputs 10 to 2 to 3. So this is an addition here. So they have used retain on the count variable and then initialized it with a value of 100. So what does this mean is that, so initially with the sum statement, the newly created variable will have a value of 0, But here in this case, they have initialized it with a value of 100. So which means even before the first observation is read, the value in count variable would be 100. So when the first observation is read, it would become 110, and then for the second observation it would become 110 plus 20, which is 130. So on the third observation it will be 130 plus 0, so it will be 130 again. So we are looking for this option which has the value of 130. So let's go with that and then see if it is correct. It says our response is correct. Let's move on to the next question. It says for the observation shown below, what is the result of the if then statement? So it says if status is equal to OK and type is equal to 3, then count plus 1. So a sum statement is used here again. So and then if status is equal to S or action is equal to E, then control is equal to stop. So here count variable is being created and here control variable is being created in two separate if then else statements, if then statements. So on this observation, so we are being asked to present the values in count variable and control variable. So let us see the logic. So in the first statement, so let's remove all of this. So and then if status is equal to OK, so here the value is in small letters, so but here the comparison is being made in uppercase letters. So our character comparison is case sensitive, so this gets failed, so this condition is not true. And then here an AND is being used irrespective of the result of this type is equal to 3 comparison, so this will get evaluated to uh, false. So the count plus 1 would not get executed. So the value in count variable would remain 12. So we have two options which have the value of 12 in count. So let us now check the additional condition that was given to us, and it says if status is equal to S or action is equal to E. So on this record status is equal to OK in small letters, so this is not correct, but otherwise we are checking or action is equal to E. So action is equal to E here on this observation. So this is false, but this is true. So as we are using an OR as a logical operator, so this becomes true. False or true will become true. So then control will have a value of stop. So here we have on the third option, so we have the control is equal to stop, 12 and stop. So third option seems to be the closest. So let's go with that and see if this is the case. It says our response was correct. And let's move on to the next question. So it says which of the following can determine the length of a new variable. So the length of the variable's first value, which means like say for example if I am creating a new variable called A and assigning the text of my CSG to it. So here as I have 5 characters, so M1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So the length for the variable A would be 5 because this is the first instance where I am assigning the text to the variable. So this is true, and then it says assignment statement. This is also true. The length statement, this is also true. So all of the above is the correct option here. So let's go with that and then see. It says our response was correct. Let's move on to the next question. So it says which set of statements is the most efficient equivalent to the code shown below. If code is equal to 1, then type is equal to fixed. If code is equal to 2, then type is equal to variable. If code not is equal to 1 and code not is equal to 2, then type is equal to unknown. So let's say we have some records like 1, 2, 3 in the code variable. So we are checking. So with this line of code, what is happening is like when the first observation is being read, so it checks this condition. If code is equal to 1, then assigns the text of fixed. And again here when this line of code is being executed for the first observation, it checks again is code is equal to 2. So as this condition is not true, it will move on to the next line. and then it checks if code not is equal to 1 and code not is equal to 2, then type is equal to. Again, as code is equal to 1 here, this is also false here. So what is happening is on each observation, each of the three conditions is being evaluated. So we have better alternatives. So wherein we can check if it is 1, otherwise check if it is 2, otherwise check if it is 3. So when we are saying otherwise, if it is not true, so it directly jumps to the next condition. So it will not check each of these lines. So we'll take a look at the options provided. So it says if code is equal to 1, then type is equal to fixed. Else if code is equal to 2, then type is equal to variable. Else type is equal to unknown. So with this syntax, what happens is if code is equal to 1, none of these lines of code gets executed, which means we are reducing some burden on the system. So this seems to be the correct option, but let us go through the other options before we conclude. So in the second option, it says if code is equal to 1, then type is equal to fixed. If code is equal to type 2, and then type is equal to variable, else type is equal to true. This is in fact logically incorrect, because even on the records where code is equal to 1, type will become unknown here. So if code is equal to 1, then type is equal to fixed, and else if code is equal to, so this is there is some logic error here. Here and is being used instead of then. So this is logically incorrect. And then on the last option also, if code is equal to and type is equal to fixed, this is also not an equivalent of the first set of line if statements given to us. So let's go with the first option and then see if it is correct. It says our response is correct. Let's move on to the next question. So what is the length of the variable type created in the data step below? So here we have set finance dot records total loan plus payment. If code is equal to 1, then type is equal to fixed, else type is equal to variable, and then we have a length statement for type variable, and uh, 10 characters width is being assigned for this type variable. So what in the compilation stage, the length is assigned in the initial case. So here, so the first time during the compilation stage, the first time SAS sees the type variable is in this place. So here in this place, what is happening? So we are assigning a text which has 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 5 characters width to this variable. So as this is character, so it automatically determines the type of the variable. So by knowing that, as we are putting the code text in code, so it knows that it has to be a character variable, and at that time itself it assigns the length of the variable as 5, because the first instance when it looks at this text, so it assumes that it will need a 5 character width. But even if we see in the next line, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Here we have 8 characters in the type variable, but the length is determined in the first instance. So the length will still be 5 even if we had assigned a text of which is greater than 5 characters in length. And then length statement is written here. So once the length is determined here, so the length statement has no effect as the length is already determined here. So if we have to use a length of 10 for type variable, we will have to place the length statement even before the type variable is created or assigned its first value. So the option is the length of 5. So let's go with that and then see if it is correct. It says our response is correct. Let's move on to the next question. So it says which program contains an error. So here we have drop is equal to option is being used. So time minutes and time seconds are being dropped in file input. So we have some variables being read, and total time is equal to is being calculated as time in minutes multiplied by 60 and time in seconds. And then a sum statement is being used to create sum sec variable and total time. So this seems to be okay. So but let us take a look at the other options before we conclude. So here if we see proc print data is equal to clinic, we have a label for total time and a format for time in minutes. Yeah, so we have a drop statement being used in proc print. So drop statement, keep and rename statements can only be used in data step. If we want to have similar features, we'll have to make use of the parallel options which are drop is equal to, keep is equal to, and return is equal to on the places where we specify the name of the data set. So we do not have drop, keep and rename statements available in the procedures. So this is the correct option. So but let us go through the other options before we conclude. So here if we see data is equal to clinics, it clearly says keep is equal to total time and time in minutes. So the data set options can be used anywhere where we can specify the name of the data set. So this is okay. So on the last uh, option it says data clinic dot stress in file test and few variables are being read, and again total time multiplied by time in 60 multiplied by time in minutes plus time seconds, and then a keep statement is being used. So this seems to be the correct option. So let's go with that and then see if it is correct. It says our response is correct. Thank you for watching and